Welcome to America's Top Rebbetzins. May this class be for Refuah Shalema, for Raphael Chaim Meir ben Sima Hasya, Elkanah Zusia ben Fruma Pearl bat Malka, Mordechai David ben Ahuva Tikva, Clara Esther Batoba, and Razel Elana bat Rachel. Please click on the subscribe button to subscribe to us on the America's Top Rebbetzins YouTube page, or click follow to follow us on your podcasting app so that you are the first to know when an inspiring new episode is posted. I am honored to have on today's show Rebbetzin Fruma Schapiro. Rebbetzin Fruma and her husband Rabbi Nochum run Chabad North Shore in St. Ives, Australia, which is a suburb of Sydney. Rebbetzin Fruma has extensive teaching experience with over 20 years of teaching children, teenagers, and adults of all ages. Her bat mitzvah classes and post-bat mitzvah classes have a beneficial impact on lives of young girls. Rebbetzin Fruma serves as a role model for growing teenagers who are seeking direction, meaning, and a sense of purpose in their lives. Her shiurim for women of all ages cover a wide variety of topics and empower women to strengthen their relationships and to maximize their potential as Jewish women in modern society. Thank you so much for being here. Please tell us more about yourself and what you do.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here today. I think it's tonight, your time, today, my time.
Yes.
Yes, well, thank you for that introduction. And I co-direct Chabad House and all its activities with my husband. And I'm very involved in everything that happens. I've particularly taken interest in the educational side of things. And also we have chesed programs that I spearhead, helping people in need. It's a Helping Hands program. And I do a lot of international Zoom shiurim as well. And of course, I'd be very remiss if I didn't share that my biggest nachas is that I am a mother of Kanai Nahora, 8 children and
Beautiful.
Baruch Hashem grandchildren. And that's really life's biggest nachas.
It really is. You're 100% right. It really is. And it's so beautiful. Do all your children live around you in Australia or?
No, no. I mean, it would be lovely if they did, but I have, thank God, 4 married children. And one of them lived with us in Australia and Sydney, and they actually are very, very instrumental in helping on our shlichus here. They're very involved in the youth of Chabad here, of our Chabad house. And at the moment, we've only got 2 living at home. You know, this is how it goes.
Right. They grow up so quickly.
They grow up. They grow up. So Baruch Hashem, when you have, when you're blessed with having, a handful of kids, a number of kids, at least you sort of have the empty nest a little bit later on in life. So that's a positive thing.
This is very true. Yes. Yes. Well, today, I'm so glad that you're with us because today we're going to gain a deeper understanding about the Jewish holiday of Shavuos, which is really coming up. It's around the corner. It was on this day, Shavuos, many generations ago, that approximately 600,000 Jewish people gathered at the foot of Mount Sinai and received the Torah from Hashem, from God himself. And this was such a powerful event with tremendous spiritual significance because it was God himself who spoke to us and gave us the 10 commandments to follow. And this really solidified the Jews as a nation. Hashem giving the 10 commandments to all of us. It really solidified the Jews as a nation. So I wanted to see if we could learn more about this very special holiday. So can you please tell us the story of Shavuos and what really happened at the foot of Mount Sinai all those years ago?
Wow. How long do you have? I'll just give you in a nutshell. So first of all, when you say 600,000, I'm presuming you're meaning men between 20 and 60. But in actual fact, we're talking about 2.5 million Jews who stood at Har Sinai, who stood at Mount Sinai. And of course, the lead up was quite extensive to the event. But at the actual experience, which is really the proof of Moshe's prophecy, and it's a proof of our religion, the largest, that many witnesses to an event. This is only Judaism has this sort of to testify for the truth of our religion. But on the day of the receiving of the Torah, obviously the Jews had to prepare and get ready. But the experience was quite a pivotal world experience. It impacted the entire world, and it was a monumental experience for the nation, for the Jewish nation. It was, the Torah speaks about how there was thunder, there was lightning, there was a great sound of the shofar, meaning the shofar of Hashem that sort of blew and louder and louder and louder. And of course, the entire mountain was shaking. And we're taught that Hashem took the 7 heavens and brought it down upon the mountain, like lay over the mountain like a blanket almost. It was really the whole world stopped, even outside of the immediate environment. They say that Medrash tells us the waters stopped flowing around the world, and animals, stopped making any form of sounds. It was really a universal event. What's happening? Hashem's giving the Torah to the Jewish people. It was really something very, very, it was a tremendous experience. The voice of Hashem came from 4 different directions when he started saying the 10 commandments. And initially Hashem said the 10 commandments all in one breath, and then he said them individually. So as he started saying them after the first 2, it says that they just couldn't contain themselves in this world. Then Hashemas literally left their bodies and to, so to speak, spiritually resuscitate to come back to hear the next. And then they begged Moshe Rabbeinu to please say the rest of them, the last 8, that Hashem should tell him and he should then share it with the Jewish people. So it was really an incredible revelation, an experience, unprecedented experience in world history. And of course, it really solidified the emunah, the faith of the Jewish people, to have such a tremendous revelation of hearing the voice of Hashem. And of course, all people who were sick became healed. Those who were blind were able to see. Those who were deaf were able to hear. The mute were able to speak. It was a very profound experience that really laid the foundation of the Jewish people's marriage to Hashem for eternity.
I love that. I love that symbolism, the Jewish people's marriage to Hashem. That's so beautiful. That I love that. And I understand when, during the when Hashem was giving the Torah to the people, that he was actually holding Mount Sinai above his head. Is that what you were referring to earlier?
Yes, well, that's an interesting, it actually says in the Gemara, it speaks about that exact point, that Hashem took the mountain and he held it above their heads, and he said, if you accept the Torah, great. If not, I'll put the mountain over your head, which has a lot of questions in and of itself. It begs a lot of answers, but essentially the giving of the Torah is compared to the marriage it is a marriage of Hashem and the Jewish people. And a lot of our minhagim, a lot of our customs of marriage, of the chuppah, of the chassan and kala, are actually based on this experience. So the mountain over their head is the chuppah. Mm-hmm. There are those, it says in the Medrash, that actually the mountain became clear as glass so that the Jews could see the stars in the sky, which is why we have a chuppah, for example, generally under the open sky. But there are many, many, many comparisons between that. But essentially, when we talk about the mountain over their head, you ask yourself a question, really. I mean, is that a way for a groom to propose to a bride? You take this or else. Right. And of course, the Jewish people had already said, Na'aseh v'nishma, we will accept your Torah. So what was Hashem saying? So there are a number of answers to this question. I don't know if it's in the capacity of this particular interview to go there and discuss it, but if you have
yeah, I'd love to. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So what comes to my mind is, first of all, we're talking about the fact that, there are those who say that when you look at from a deeper perspective, from the perspective of Hasidus and really with more depth, that symbolizes that they were almost forced to accept the Torah, not in a way that was in a negative context, but the experience was almost engulfing. It was so overwhelming. It was such an intense spiritual experience with so much love and so much revelation that they actually couldn't say no. It was imposed from a powerful spiritual revelation experience, and that was like almost over their heads, which is why the Gemara says that when Purim came around, that many years later, that's when they really re-accepted and reaffirmed the receiving of the Torah, because it wasn't coming from an intense revelation. It literally came from within the people. It came from us. And therefore, that was when they absolutely affirmed this relationship. But I was thinking actually about this point last night, funny that you brought it up about the mountain over their heads. And I almost thought to myself, I started thinking, well, if the relationship of Hashem and the Jewish people is like a chassan and kala, and the Torah is like the ketubah, it's like this is our document of connection. I was thinking about this, and I thought, when a couple get married, it's a package deal. It's a package deal. We get married, so to speak, in inverted commas, for the better or the worse. We get married for the ups and downs. We take the entire package.
Yes.
And I feel like, Hashem says to us sometimes in life, you will feel that the mountain's crashing over your head. Sometimes you will ask yourself, where is Hashem in this relationship?
Yes.
Whether it be parnasa, whether it be health, whether it be shidduchim, whatever area it might be, we can sort of think, well, we are in this marriage. Where is my spouse? And Hashem says this relationship where I test you the most is when that mountain is over your head. And it's over your head, but this is when you can prove the emunah, the connection that you have to me, that commitment that we made over 3,300 years ago. That is the real marriage. That's the testimony to our marriage, that, where there will be those moments in our lives, we still show that commitment. We still have the emunah. We're still connected to Hashem. We're still Jewish and we're strong in our faith. And in fact, Hashem is telling us that really you might feel like it's on top of your head, but I'm embracing you. I'm on top of you. I'm with you. I'm holding your hand. I'm there with you. So there are different ways of seeing a circumstance. And that was my reflection when I was thinking about this concept.
That is so fascinating. I love that. And I love your analogy to Hashem giving us the Torah with holding Mount Sinai over the head, and with that being a protection, because, and you compare that to a relationship, and in relationships, especially in marriage, I have the relationship of marriage in my head right now. When you're going through something with your spouse, it's through thick and through thin. Like you said, it's a package deal. The good times and the bad times. But it's also the same way with our relationship with Hashem. Sometimes things happen to us. We have no idea why. An illness, the death of a loved one, the loss of money, just devastating circumstances. And we're like, where are you, Hashem? This is the good with the bad, and just solidifying, like you said, solidifying that relationship, knowing that Hashem is with you at all times, and just making solid that emunah, that faith that you have in Hashem. The same thing with your spouse. It's not going to be peaches and roses all the time, unfortunately, as much as we would like it to,
right.
But it's like, you're there for each other. You have a commitment. You're married. You have a commitment to each other. Just like the Jews have a commitment to Hashem, and Hashem has a commitment to the Jews, the same.
Correct.
As a husband and wife have a commitment to each other. It's such a beautiful analogy.
And that's also why, if you think about it, Shavuos, obviously it means weeks, because we're counting the weeks from Pesach to Shavuos. But Shavuos comes from Shavuah, which is an oath. At that point, when Hashem gave us the Torah, he made an oath. He would never exchange us for anybody else. And, we made that oath to Hashem too, that this is a long-term, eternal relationship, and we will always be committed to this relationship.
That's beautiful. And it's so very well said. Very well said. And just before I go on, I would just want to clarify. So at the beginning, I did say 600,000 people, but I do want to clarify to your point. So it's men over the age of 20? Is that what it was, the 600,000?
Between 20 and 60. That was the age of, the males between 20 and 60. But we say it was about 2.5 million in total. And of course, we also... Yeah, and we also say that every neshama that was ever going to be born was at Har Sinai at the time of the giving of the Torah. So I actually heard something really interesting once, and as we're talking, it's just sort of come to my mind.
Yeah.
That that medrash when we're told that Hashem went to all the nations of the world and asked them, "Do you want the Torah?" And they said, "No." What does it say in it? No, we can't keep that. We can't keep that. And he went to all the nations of the world. How to understand that in terms of the head, so to speak, angel that represents the nations, etc. That's another discussion. But there were those who, so to speak, did want to take on the Torah and did want to accept the Torah, but they were outnumbered. And it is said that those are the souls that actually ultimately come into this world and convert to Judaism. So I remember when I heard that, I found that quite interesting, that people who have converted were actually the ones way back, that wanted to have Torah, wanted to have a life of Torah mitzvahs and wanted this relationship with Hashem. So this is their opportunity. It's an interesting, I'm not sure if it comes from the Medrash but I remember hearing this and being fascinated by that.
I was going to say, it's such a fascinating insight, and it makes so much sense, because sometimes you'll have a person, they're born Catholic or whatever religion they're born into, but they have such an affinity, they have such a draw to Judaism. And then eventually, as they grow up later on in life, they convert and they become part of the Jewish nation, and they become one of us, and it's just so fascinating, because you always wonder, why were they born Jewish in the first place? But now it's really clicking and making sense.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yes. Oh my gosh, fascinating. But we celebrate Shavuos by studying Torah all night, in honor of Hashem's giving the Torah to us on Shavuos. So we study Torah all night, we eat dairy products, and we read the Book of Ruth at synagogue. So I want to see if you could please explain the significance of the traditions. I mean, studying Torah all night, I guess we talked a little bit about that. But yeah, the studying the Torah, the dairy products, and the reading the Book of Ruth specifically at synagogue.
Okay, so when we talk about, let's take one by one step at a time.
Yes.
Talk about studying Torah all night. Well, on the basic level, we receive the Torah, so we are showing our gratitude for that and studying the Torah the night of Shavuos. But it goes further back. The night before the giving of the Torah, the Jews slept. Now, generally speaking, when you're really excited for something, you don't sleep all night. Sure. So it's not necessarily looked at in the most positive way that the Jews were able to sleep all night. They should have been so excited for this incredible occasion. So there are those who say that it's a tikkun. It is a rectification for the fact that the Jews slept all night. We make an effort to stay up all night. But again, all of these things, and obviously study Torah, showing our enthusiasm for Torah study and the receiving of the Torah, in contrast to the Jews then who slept. But actually, the Lubavitcher Rebbe has a beautiful insight on this concept. And he said that really, we could look at it in completely the opposite way, that the Jewish people were that excited for receiving the Torah, and they wanted to prepare in the most intense manner possible, sort of to come close to Hashem before this, they would experience Matan Torah, before they would experience the revelation, that in their minds, the closest way possible they could connect the divine would be to sleep, because during sleep, a part of our neshama ascends above, a part of our neshama ascends to Hashem, and they felt that ascent would be part of the preparation of the receiving of the Torah. So that is a deeper way. I guess if we wanted to be don l'kaf zchus, if we wanted to see things in a meritorious manner, yes. That would be a deeper way. But either way, we stay up all night and learn Torah because we're enthusiastic, we're excited, we want to connect to Hashem. And Shavuos it's not a festival of the past. Hashem is giving us the Torah every single year. There's a new energy that's coming into this world where Hashem gives us the Torah again on a spiritual level. So in effect, we are actually preparing ourselves for the receiving of the Torah the next day in shul when we stay up all night, the night before. So that's as far as the learning of the Torah all night is. Your other question was Megillah. Why do we read Megillas Rus?
Yeah, we could do that one next. Yes. Why do we read Megillas Rus?
Okay. So there are a number of reasons for why we read the Megillas Rus. First of all, David HaMelech passed away on Shavuos, and he was a descendant of Rus. Yes. Of course, Rus was a convert. Yes. And at the time of the giving of the Torah, as a Jewish nation, we went through a process of conversion. That was our spiritual rebirth when we received the Torah. And her conversion did not come easily. It really didn't come easily. There was a lot of sacrifice, a lot of hard work, a lot of personal growth. And there is a very important message in that. Torah does not necessarily come easily. Even living a life of Torah doesn't necessarily come easily. It's not given to us necessarily on a golden platter. We've got to apply ourselves. We've got to work hard. We've got to work hard to learn Torah. We've got to work hard to keep the Torah and mitzvahs. So this message that Ruth gives us is precisely that. She did have a beautiful so to speak, end to her life, where she became the mother of David, ultimately David HaMelech, and ultimately the mother of Mashiach himself. I mean, Mashiach is descendant from Ruth, but that doesn't just come at no effort. So we need to know that. We need to know that. And of course, Ruth took place, the whole story took place in the harvesting season, and Shavuot, and Shavuos is the season of harvesting. So that's why we read the book of Ruth on Shavuos. Read the Book of Ruth, and we also have dairy products.
Yes,
that was your third question.
Yes,
we have dairy products, and there are a number of different insights into why we have dairy products. The most commonly known one was that when we were given the Torah, it was a Shabbos. Hashem gave us the Torah on a Shabbos, and that's when we were given all the halachas, all the laws of kashrut, of all the laws of kosher. And of course, we were unable on Shabbos to kasher our dishes, to shecht animals. So the natural go-to was dairy products. And of course, that's interesting in and of itself, because when Hashem wanted to give us the Torah, there was a commotion in heaven. Why? The malachim, the angels said, why? Why give the Torah to the Jewish people? Why are you doing this? They're taking your prized possession, the crown of everything, of creation, and you're giving it to these people who are going to not necessarily treat it in the appropriate manner at all times. And Hashem said, what, do you have a problem with honoring parents? Do you have an issue with keeping Shabbos kosher, etc.? So the fact that we received those kosher laws and had dairy products to symbolize our intention to observe the kosher laws was in itself an answer to the angels who didn't want us to receive the Torah in the first place, because he was saying we will treasure these laws, and we can only treasure these laws in this world down here by really respecting and understanding that there are laws that come with it. We can't have meat today because we can't shecht our animals and we can't kasher our pots. So in effect, they were already on the journey, on the trajectory of keeping Torah and mitzvahs, which only human beings can keep in this world. And of course, if you look at the Hebrew word chalav, every letter has a numerical value. So when you add up chalav, which is milk, it comes to 40, and that represents the 40 days and nights that Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Mount Sinai. So wow. There are a few of the many answers that I'll share with you right now as to why we have dairy products.
I love that. I love that. So, and here's a question, and this has been debated amongst my friends a little bit. So I know that we eat dairy on Shavuos, and I totally understand everything that you said. Now, here's an interesting thing. What happens when Shavuos, like this year, ends up on Shabbos? Like day 2 this year, we're in 2023. Shavuos is going to end up on Shabbos. Do we also eat dairy on Shabbos day? Because some people eat meat on Shabbos day. Traditionally we eat meat on Shabbos day. Yeah. What happens when Shavuos happens to be on Shabbos?
Well, it's an interesting question. First of all, we don't just eat dairy on Shavuos. The custom really is to have something dairy and then to wait and then to have a fleishik meal. Okay. So because it's Yom Tov, we're still meant to have a meal. Yom Tov is very important to have basar and dagim, fish and meat. So generally speaking, we'll have our dairy, whatever we serve, and then wait an hour and then have the meat meal. So it doesn't really detract from the fact that we have meat on Shabbos or Yom Tov. On the contrary, it just adds more food to our menu. Doesn't detract. We Jews are very, very professional about how we work out how to have more food, not less.
Yes, we're very food oriented for sure. This is
We're very
100%.
We're very pedantic about that. So we certainly won't miss out on anything because it's Shabbos or Yom Tov.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because I was talking to my friends about it, and we were just, I love dairy, and my friend was really telling me, like, but you're really supposed to have meat because it's a Yom Tov. So that was the contrary. So it's really
We have both.
So we eat. So just to get a little bit technical, just because I want to clarify, just for the audience who might have the question, we don't eat the meat and the dairy at the same time. We have the dairy first.
No. Yes, so we have the dairy. In my family's custom and many people's custom is that mainly the dairy is on the first day. In fact, that's like the day, because think about it. That's when the Jewish people received the Torah, and that's when they had their dairy.
Yes.
So the real minhag, the real custom, is to have the dairy on the first day, although mind you, some people have it on more, but definitely we don't have it together. We'll have the dairy and then the meat later.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, there is also a custom of decorating our homes and also our synagogues with flowers in honor of Shavuos. So can you please explain the significance of this custom? What is it all about with the flowers?
So there is actually a medrash that tells us that when Hashem gave the Torah on Mount Sinai and Har Sinai, that the mountain was covered in greenery and flowers, and so it's symbolic of that miracle that transpired when the Jewish people received the Torah. It's also very interesting in the Mishnah. It says that Shavuos is a time of judgment for trees and fruits.
Interesting.
That's when Hashem judges what the fruit will be like that year, how the trees will grow. So, that is symbolized also by the greenery that we decorate our shuls or our homes with.
Right, because we want the trees to yield good fruits.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And so it's symbolic of that concept as well.
That's beautiful. I love that. I didn't know that. The judgment of the trees and the fruits. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you learn something every day.
Yes. And so I feel like each of the Jewish holidays is there to teach us a spiritual lesson that we can implement in our lives in order to feel more connected to Hashem and also to our higher selves, to our soul. So I want to see if you can please share with us some spiritual lessons that we learned from Shavuos and how we can practically apply those lessons to our modern lives today.
This is a where do I begin question. But I'll just share a couple of insights that come to my mind. And I guess the first insight that comes to my mind is that it's the way we view the Jewish festivals. Like you said, there's a spiritual energy. It's not a story of the past, as I said before. Every time a Yom Tov, every time a Jewish festival comes around, there is a new energy of that festival that comes into the world and, of course, into our souls. And it's almost a spiritual injection for a specific aspect of our Judaism, of our Yiddishkeit. So I think fundamentally, when we receive the Torah, Hashem says, Asher anochi metzavacha hayom. We say in the Shema every day, that which I have commanded you today. Have you ever wondered why the Torah says, I have commanded you today, when he commanded us many, many years ago to observe the Torah? And the answer to that is that every single day we need to have a fresh view of Torah, that Hashem is giving us the Torah every single day. It's not just so I think Shavuos would be that time of introspection and contemplation, that the Torah needs to be fresh for us. The Torah needs to be, we need to be reinvigorated every day with a new energy of Torah, with a new connection to Torah. And I find it interesting, actually, some of the rabbis say the reason that Shavuos was predominantly referred to as Shavuos, as opposed to, obviously we say Zman Matan Torah Seinu, the time of giving of the Torah, but we speak about Shavuos as Shavuos, right. Because Zman Matan Torah Seinu, the time of the giving of the Torah, is every day. You know how we say like Mother's Day in Judaism is every day?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So the time of the giving of the Torah is actually every single day. So the first message for us for Shavuos is that this is a time of reflection. This is a time of reconnecting to the Torah, a time of rethinking and reconnecting to the vibrancy of the relevance of Torah to our lives today and every day of our lives. So that's the first principle that I think is really most important. And I will share another insight with you that I think is extremely relevant in terms of how we can inspire ourselves with this festival of Shavuos in a very real way in today's society. And that is that there is a medrash that says, and it's based on the verse in Tehillim, the verse in Psalms, it says, Shamayim Shamayim LaHashem va'aretz nasan livnei Adam, which means the heavens that belong to God and the earth was given to man. Now, this is an interesting statement of King David, of David HaMelech. And actually it says in the medrash that when Hashem created the world, he created it in a manner that he almost had inherent to the creation a decree, a heavenly decree, that which is heavenly, that which is spiritual, remains spiritual, and that which is material remains material. That's given to man, that's for this world, and the two shall not meet. So until the time of the giving of the Torah, it was impossible to infuse in a manner of permanence the physical world around us with a spiritual energy. The spiritual energy was distinct from the physical. So that if now we say, for example, after the giving of the Torah, when Hashem gave the Torah, the Medrash says, that decree was nullified. And this was the fulfillment of the actual purpose of creation, and the whole world series of events until the giving of the Torah was a preparation for this decree to be nullified, where heaven came down to kiss the earth, when the spiritual and the material could now meet and converge in a manner of permanence. So before the Torah was given, if you did a mitzvah with an object, you could then throw away that object. There was no permanent holiness intrinsic to that object. Now, if we do a mitzvah with an object, whether it be greens that we're using for our lulav and esrog, whether it be the straps that we use for tefillin, that's holy. You don't just throw a pair of tefillin or the lulav and esrog we try and burn with the chametz because it was used for a mitzvah. There's a holiness and a permanence of holiness that's imbued within the world around us after the giving of the Torah. That was one of the big accomplishments of the giving of the Torah, where we were able to now infuse our bodies, the world around us, with the energy of godliness in a manner that is permanent. So that if a person says a bracha somewhere, there is an energy in that space, in that place, that is there for eternity. So the great tzaddikim, the holy, like we have stories of the Baal Shem Tov, who would walk somewhere and say, somebody made a bracha in this place, because he could feel the energy that was permanently, the mark that bracha left in that place. So coming back to your question and relating this concept to our lives, it is really important to understand this as a purpose of the giving of the Torah, because ultimately, when we look at the Torah, we have the Torah's inheritance. The Torah is a guide to our lives. It is a way we connect to Hashem. But thinking about the fact that there is no facet, there is no dimension in our lives that we cannot infuse with holiness. There is nothing that is devoid of potential for mitzvahs, for Torah, for holiness in that space. And that is the message of Shavuos. That's a message of the giving of the Torah. It doesn't matter whether we're at work, whether we're at home, whether we're cooking, whether we're davening, whether we're dealing with our kids, it doesn't matter what we're doing. That space can be permeated with the light of holiness, with the light of Torah, with the message of Torah, with what Torah is all about. So the message of Shavuos, the second message I want to share, is that Torah is very, very relevant to my everyday, my every moment of my life. Every experience that we have can be guided by the values, by the spirituality of Torah. So when we receive the Torah again, it's a time to think about, how can I bring more Torah into my life? Not just when I'm davening or learning or the obvious spiritual moments, but how can I infuse Torah into my conversations, into my everyday experiences, when I'm shopping, when I'm cooking, when I'm dealing with my friends, when I'm at business, at work? How can Torah become one with that experience? How can being Jewish be connected to that experience? So everybody can think about that in their own way. Everybody can internalize that differently and can infuse more of Torah, more of the light of Torah into their everyday experiences. And ultimately, that is what will bring Mashiach. Ultimately, that is what Mashiach is about. Mashiach is not about, the splitting of the sea and the 10 plagues all over again. Mashiach is about a reality, a world reality, where we feel the presence of Hashem in everything we do, where our entire world experience, our life experience, connects to Hashem. And it becomes obvious that Torah is part of everything, that Hashem is part of everything. So I think it's a refocus, like just rethink and refocus how we can bring Torah into the mundane just a little bit more. So I guess
so we can like embody Torah. We can become like a living Torah ourselves.
Yes. That's right. That's exactly right. And that's why, we have 613 mitzvahs that correspond with the limbs, 248 and 365, the limbs and the sinews in the human body, that every part of us connects to Torah, even the human body.
So beautiful. So beautiful.
So that's my the thoughts that I'm sure, there are so many thoughts one can explore, but I just feel like those are two really, really important things, important ideas and concepts to contemplate and to think about when Shavuos comes around.
I totally agree. It's very, very relevant. I mean, it's like why we're here today. We the more we learn Torah, the more we can live it, and the more we live it, the more we can embody it. And the more we embody it, the more we share with others. Just like our mission, the Jews were chosen to be a light unto the nations, to set an example to others. And how do you do that?
Correct.
You do that by living the Torah. And
Correct.
This is the holiday. Shavuos is the holiday for that. So it's so beautiful. It ties everything together.
That's it. And it does go back to what I said before about the Medrash, about how the angel said, why give the Torah to... Well, that's the whole purpose, that we take this world that looks so devoid of godliness. It looks so ungodly. And we transform it, and we actually reveal the inherent godliness that is in this world. And only we can do that. The angels can't do it. We can do it, and this is why when you go, for example, when a person goes to a cemetery, and that it's important that they tuck in, a male has to tuck in his tzitzis. Why? Because the neshama that they're visiting, they can't perform mitzvahs. They can't put on tzitzis. It's like in your face. You don't want to be in your face. I'm doing a mitzvah and you can't. So they tuck in their tzitzis out of respect. But this brings out this very point that it is only in this world that heaven and earth can literally touch each other, and we're able to perform the mitzvahs only in this world and transform this world. So it's again more of that concept and that idea.
It's so exciting because there's so much potential. Like we here, living here on earth, have so much potential to bring so much good, to bring so much light to our friends, to our family, to fellow Jews, and even to ourselves by doing the mitzvot, by living the Torah. I almost have this image in my head of each one of us, every Jew, being a beacon of shining light to others. And it's just so much potential, so much possibility. It's really, really exciting.
Correct. And you know what they say, if you you know, people, when I was young, I wanted to change the world, and ultimately I realized I've got to change myself.
Exactly.
So to be a shining light and to be the light among the nations, we need to be a light for within ourselves, and we need to integrate these concepts and ideas and try and live it ourselves, and naturally then we become a shining light to others.
100%, 100%. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rebbetzin Fruma, for joining us on America's Top Rebbetzins. It was truly a pleasure to have you here. And may the learning we did today be for Refuah Shalema, for Clara Esther Batoba, Rizel Elana Bat Rachel, Elkanah Zusia Ben Fruma, Fruma Pearl Bat Malka, Mordechai David Ben Ahuva Tikva, and Raphael Chaim Meir Ben Sima Hasya. Thank you so
Amen.
much.
Amen. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
Have a good Yom Tov.
Thank you. And you too.